What's going on, guys? Back with another video. I had shown my ultimate controller, that's this one, and I say ultimate because I have the back paddles installed, clicky hair triggers, and the LED kit all installed on one controller. This time I'm going to show 4 kits installed plus the split D-pad in one controller, and all of these are from Extreme Rate. Before I continue, if anyone is interested on buying these products or any other stuff on the GamingCobra website, you can use my code Im.A.Caveman to get a 10% discount, or you can also click on my referral link on the description below. I'm also going to have links on these products there. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the split D-pad. The reason it's called that is because unlike the original, that's just one whole piece, the split D-pad has all buttons separately. I had bought 2 pairs, one being the black and the other one the purple chameleon. So that's why black is left and right, down and up is purple chameleon. What's pretty cool about this is that you can mix and match colors, as you can see. Another thing is that these aren't just for the PS5 controller, you can also use them for your PS4 controller. Another thing is that some people had said that they're good for fighting games. I personally don't know, since I don't play fighting games like that. I've only played Dragon Ball FighterZ for a little bit. I just thought it was worth mentioning since there was a couple reviews of people saying that. The only bad thing that people mentioned was that the buttons end up being a little taller. Mine does look a little taller compared to the original, but that's because I have the face Clicky Kit, and with that kit installed, you're supposed to install these little pads under your buttons. The next one is the face Clicky Kit, and this one is only compatible with CFI ZCT1W, and that's found on the back of your original back shell. On the motherboard, you would see that it has a number starting with the letters BDM-010. So whenever I say BDM-010, I'm referring to the model number CFI ZCT1W. There's another model number with just a capital A at the end of the W. There's a little gap in between the W and the A. You'll be able to see the A clearly there. And on the motherboard for that one, it would show BDM-020. What this kit is going to do for you is make your D-pad and action buttons sound like mouse or keyboard clicks. That could either be a good thing or a bad thing, depending if you like those sounds or not. Your buttons also don't get pushed down all the way. They still activate, they just don't go all the way down like the original. As you can see here, you can see how that button is practically all the way inside, unlike this one. And that's the same for the D-pad. That was it for the face clicky. The next one is the clicky hair triggers. Just like the face clicky, this one's only compatible with BDM-010. I would recommend the clicky hair triggers only for people who mainly play shooters, and I say that because it'll give you a quicker trigger response. You can see I'm pressing down the L2. It doesn't get pressed down all the way like the original. I have this controller here as a comparison. I didn't want to take this one out of the box. I had customized it using Extreme Rate's front shell, back shell, and matte black buttons. I'm planning on selling it. That's the reason I didn't want to take it out of the box, but it's the only one I have as a comparison. So now I'm going to press down L2 on both controllers. You can see how the left one gets pushed all the way down. The one on the right, it doesn't, because it has the clicky hair triggers installed. And the reason that it doesn't get pushed all the way down is because it has these pads installed under so that your triggers can be activated quicker. So if you're trying to aim your gun in like Call of Duty, your gun will be able to get aimed quicker compared to the original because you don't have to push your button all the way down, which would include the same for shooting. Also for your L1 and R1 tacticals, grenades, and then it has a little clicky sound to it as well. If I remember correctly, I think I have the first version of the clicky hair triggers. I think the first version got an upgrade so that they can sound a little more clicky compared to the first version of the hair triggers. The bad thing about having these triggers installed is that it's recommended you turn your haptic feedback off. If you don't, it's most likely just gonna end up making the gear inside here get stuck and probably just make like a clicking sound, ticking sound, because it's trying to move that gear and it's not going to, because, well, you're not pressing your triggers down all the way. Another bad thing that was mentioned on a review, it doesn't have the slow to hard press function, which would mean in like a driving game, you wouldn't be able to go slow at like 40 mph speed. They said it would just go from 0 to 100. I haven't tried it in a driving game, so I actually don't know. So just remember, guys, if you're into haptic feedback, you use games where you're going to be using that and you don't have a second controller, then maybe you shouldn't get this. I recommend only getting it if you do have a second control to use that without the mod or kit installed. Alright, moving on to the LED kit. This one's also only compatible with BDM-010, just just like the other two kits I mentioned, Face Clicky and Clicky hair triggers. All three of these are only compatible with BDM010. I'm sure Extreme Rate will update those later on to work with the new one, BDM020, but we would just have to wait for now. After the LED kit is installed, to turn it on, you would have to press your up D-pad, right D-pad, and square at the same time. Hold it down for about like 5 seconds and it should turn on. I had left it on the rainbow cycle, so I remembered that if it were to be on like a red color, then the next time you turn it off and then turn it back on, it'll stay on the red color. So I have it on rainbow cycle right now, and you can see it slowly just changes through all the colors on its own. But now if you want to change your color, you would hold the up D-pad and square, press on them, hold them at the same time for about like 10 seconds. You'll see how it starts to blink. Once you see it blinking, you'll press the right D-pad to change the color. And this is going to change to the fast blink. Now it's on red, now green, blue. This is like a yellow or lime green, pink, purple, cyan, and then back to the rainbow cycle. And it is going to keep on blinking until you choose the color you want. So for now, let me go to the blue one. You can see I have it on blue and it's still blinking. So to choose blue, I'm gonna hold the up D-pad and square at the same time again. Hold it down for some seconds until you see that it stops blinking. There you go. Now it's on blue, no more blinking, you have it set. Right now you could also see the difference between the all clear buttons and just transparent shell with the LED kit installed. The light just shines through the transparency and the little gaps between the buttons. This one's actually pretty cool. I prefer it this way, like that the brightness isn't too much in my eyes. Personally, while I'm playing and I have the LEDs on with the all clear buttons, I just notice it more, and sometimes it does bother my eyes. But when I use this one, you know, it's obviously not as much since it's more dim, since it's not all clear buttons. I mainly like the LED with the all clear buttons if I'm gonna have the controller just on display with the lights on. Even if I'm not using my PS5 or it's on rest mode, it just looks kind of cool to have the controller lighting up. I showed you the 7 colors that the kit has, the 2 modes, which is slow blink and fast blink. And those 2 effects cycle through all colors on its own. You didn't really get to see the fast blink, so I'll show it to you right now. Fast blink is probably my least favorite. It just flashes too much blinking going on. I prefer the slow blink. The transition of the colors on slow blink is actually really nice if you notice it. To turn your LEDs off, you would press up, right, and square D-pad all at the same time. And that's basically the on and off switch for the lights. Your controller doesn't have to be on for you to turn the LEDs on. My controller's not on. There's no little white light. Extreme Rate has 2 designs for the LED kit, and by that I mean they provide all clear buttons. D-pad as well. I just don't have mine installed since I wanted to show the split D-pad. It doesn't come with all clear triggers since there's no LEDs under the triggers. I'm actually wondering if one day they're going to do that so that there's lights under these triggers. The other design that you can buy the lights with are buttons that have transparent symbols, and with those the lights are only going to be showing mainly from the transparent symbols and I guess through the gaps of some of the buttons. They have their own design on the shapes. Also the PS button, they have their own symbol for that. This would be transparent, the little arrow marks, and they do have a couple of the colored buttons. So transparent shape, colored buttons, the light will shine through that and through some of the gaps like right here or here. You can see there's a little gap between the button and the shell, so it'll shine through there a little bit. When it comes to durability of the LED kit, that can be a tough one. You can see on these transparent buttons, there's like 4 little LEDs under it. It's like this circular strip that you stick under, and that's where one of the problems comes up. The stickiness, I guess, doesn't last that long, or it's just not good enough. It eventually unsticks. If it's not stuck down anymore, then that means it's gonna be moving around on the inside. Oh, I think you can actually see it right now. Yeah, you see how it's moving around. Sometimes it could end up causing some problems in game. Like maybe you're trying to run to the left, it might make it run a little slower. I had that problem when it came to the aiming. My aiming towards the left was slower compared to the right, which was normal. That's because the LED was moving around. I ended up opening it up again. It seems to be fine now. I haven't had any problems so far. One thing that did happen on the PS4 LED kit was that basically moving the thumbsticks around ends up rubbing the LEDs themselves. So eventually they could end up blinking, flickering on and off, or some of them just stop working eventually because of the rubbing. And in terms of installation, it is a little more complicated than the Rise Remap kit, which is the paddles. Those are some of the things to think about before installing the LED kit. And now this is the kit that a lot of people are going crazy about, which I didn't even expect, but this one's a fan favorite. This is the #1 kit that's attracting more attention than the rest. Reason for that is because you get 2 back paddles on your control. It's called the Rise Remap kit. These 2 that I have in front of me, the matte black and the soft touch scarlet red, are both only compatible with BDM010. Having the Rise Remap kit installed means you won't be able to use the Sony charger dock station or even one similar to it like this one. Only way I can use this one is having a controller that doesn't have the back paddles installed. There's a good options of colors to choose from. You could even mix and match colors, so I would be able to take these black paddles and put them on this. I was actually gonna do it and I completely forgot. Or you could even switch this with this, you know, so that's pretty cool too. Extreme Ray did release the V2 so that it can work with BDM020. It's a little disappointing only because there's only 2 colors at the moment, which is black, but it's not matte black, it's just a regular glossy black like this, and the other color is white like the original controller. So here's the V2 version. I haven't installed it. I'll talk about this one more in my next video, but I wanted to show you that black glossy look. And then the cool part is that it comes with these rubber grips. Yeah, I'll leave this for the next video. You can program any of the buttons except the mic, home, options, and share buttons. You can't program any of those onto the paddles, but you can do your action buttons, D-pad, L3, R3, your triggers, and even the touchpad. But if you want to program your L3, R3, and touchpad, you're gonna have to do some soldering. The video that I uploaded is the non-soldering option, which means you can program everything else except R3, L3, and touchpad. Once the kit is installed, it has a setting mode, which is the remap or programming mode. That's why there's a button here. And just to let you know, the controller needs to be on for this to also go on. So you would hold the back button for a few seconds. You can see the little red light that's on. That means program mode, remap mode is on. But just in case the button doesn't work, let me show you the manual way to activate it. To manually turn it on, you would have to press L1, R1, X, and D-pad together at the same time for about like 3 seconds, I think, or 5 seconds. The little red light went on. So once it's on, you're able to remap. To do that, I can hold my left paddle and I'll go with X. I'm gonna hold them at the same time. Once it blinks 3 times, that means your left paddle is now the X button. If you want to leave the paddle blank, you can just hold the same one you assigned. So left paddle and X, hold it down at the same time. You can see it does 3 slow blinks. If it's 3 quick blinks, that means programmed. If it's 3 slow blinks, that's unprogrammed. So now my right paddle, I'll do circle and right, hold it down for a few seconds. 3 quick blinks, that means this is circle now. If my right paddle is already circle, but I want it to be like a triangle, light is still on, I'll click triangle and the right paddle at the same time. 3 quick blinks, now this is triangle. But once you've programmed your buttons however you want, you're gonna have to turn this off since it's a settings mode. The paddles aren't going to activate if this is still on. Just shut off program remap mode off. There you go, lights off, and now you'll be able to see in game that your back paddles are activating. The paddles do have a clicky sound to it, so keep that in mind. And since I have the first paddles that came out, these aren't updated. These actually had problems at the beginning. I don't use mine like crazy or even press them that hard. Unupdated paddles, they actually had problems where they would break around this area just from excessive use or pressing it too hard. They would end up cracking and eventually, you know, the whole thing would just come off because it broke. Extreme Ray came out with updated paddles, which makes them a little more durable. Not sure how much. I don't have the updated ones, but yeah, there's updated ones. If anyone does have the updated paddles, it'd be great if you can comment how you guys are doing with those. Alright guys, thanks for joining me today. On my next video, I'll be talking about the V2 Rise Remap Kit, and I'm also going to talk about a charger that can be used when you have your paddles installed. Thank you everyone for the continuous support, and I'll be back with another one.